chilly.
That would be.
Recording in progress.
Raging trails. And they camp out.
Okay.
It is up to you.
All right, welcome to INS, Improvement Services Committee, for November 30th, 2022. We'll do a roll call, and Alder Campbell.
Here.
Alder Eck.
Here.
Alder Wery.
Here.
Alder Steuer. We are all here and present. I would entertain an approval of the agenda.
Move to approve.
Second?
Moved by Wery, seconded by Eck. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed. That passes unanimously. Approval of the minutes. I entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Eck.
Second.
Second by Campbell. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed. That passes unanimously.
Alder Steuer, I'm sorry, could you slow down just for one?
Slow down.
Don't worry about keeping up.
Oh, okay. Never mind, we're good.
We'll catch it tomorrow. I've got everything.
Slow down. Move
Thank
too
you.
fast.
You're good, go ahead.
We're good now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Time flies.
Slow down, you move too fast, remember?
Oh,
Is
boy.
that Beatles?
Feeling.
You're being
groovy.
recorded.
Sorry about that. That's Harper's Bazaar, I believe. Anyway, regular business, number 1, consideration with possible action on general ordinance number 24-22, amending section 40-3, subsection B, Green Bay Municipal Code, relating to temporary parking regulations. We'll start off with staff and then we'll...
Included in the agenda packet, we have the strikeout markup text of the proposed modifications to section 40-3 sub B sub 2. In short, the existing language calls for temporary trial periods not to exceed 90 days. And then the council may consider legislation to make those temporary regulations permanent. This cleans that language up, indicating that instead of, it sets the trial period at 90 days, the commission shall reconsider such temporary regulations prior to the expiration of that 90-day period, or at the first meeting practicable thereafter, and then changes the strikeout language at the end to any such temporary regulations shall remain in effect until council takes action on the legislation to make such temporary regulations permanent. So it just provides continuity during that time period.
So this is just somewhat temporary in a sense, or not?
Well, this would be for 90-day trials. So
90-day trials.
if we go to a 4-way stop condition from a 2-way stop condition on a 90-day trial, that stays in effect until council takes an action either to rescind and go back,
I see.
or to make that 4-way stop permanent. No parking regulations, things of that nature that are all 90-day trials. It
Okay.
kind of cleans that language up and then provides continuity between the termination of the 90-day trial and when the council takes action.
Okay.
Close enough?
Yeah,
Yeah.
makes sense.
Did you say
Alder Wery, did you have
It looks
something?
good. Mine was different. I thought it was that.
Oh, you did.
For some reason, I thought it was the night parking and policy enforcement.
Oh, yeah, he was all gung ho. He was
I'm
ready.
like, I'm ready to go. Let's make some changes. Well, okay. I'll go back to bed.
So,
Motion to approve. Yeah, looks fine to me.
Motion by
Second.
second by Campbell.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thanks for the work on that.
Yeah.
You have a blank
Seriously,
screen.
it's been,
Oh.
all right, let's see, let's back to the agenda here. Number 2, consideration with possible action on a request by the Department of Public Works to award contract bridge 7-22 Main Street Bridge B-5-311 hydraulic rehabilitation phase 1 at a staff level and report the award at the next regular meeting of the Improvement Services Committee. Director.
This is the contract to remove the hydraulic holders and hydraulic pumps from the bridge to send them in for refurbishment and replacement. That work has to be performed outside of the normal shipping season because once you remove those items, you can't operate the bridge anymore. So the bridge is going to have to be in the up position. So it has to occur after November and prior to April. So we've got a pretty small time window. The appropriate time to bid this actually winds up being over the holidays, when after Christmas and before the first regularly scheduled meeting of Improvement Service Committee and Council in January. So in order not to unnecessarily delay that contract and try to get everything done prior to the beginning of the shipping season. We're simply asking if we can award that contract at staff level and report that back out.
Okay. Committee, any questions?
Motion to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Motion by X, seconded by Weary. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That passes unanimously. All right, number 3, consideration with possible action or request by the Department of Public Works to award the following for the hydraulic rehabilitation of the Rainichke Memorial Bridge. Should we take this one at a time?
If you wish, or you can take them collectively, either way is fine.
We'll take them each. The contract with IFP Motion Solutions, Inc., the lowest bidding distributor for procurement of an Oil-Gear PVK series pump in the amount of $107,160.40.
Included in the agenda packet, we have a no substitute or sole source document indicating where we're obtaining that pump from. Same kind of logic is going to follow through for all 3 of these items. When you build a bridge, you don't go to the bridge store and buy parts, okay? They're kind of unique animals. They're more like a Frankenstein's monster, if you want to think of it that way.
It's like a bumper car.
You take parts and assemble something. So the pumps, the hydraulic motors, things of that nature, they're somewhat proprietary to that bridge. Now, while you can find specifications for something that's comparable to, it's not going to be identical to the original equipment of the bridge. So in order to provide continuity, spare parts, familiarity with our staff in being able to maintain, we did work with the purchasing agent, and we are looking to buy the identical replacement parts. So this, again, is going to happen for all 3 of the items under this agenda. The purchasing department is good with us going with the sole source and picking up this Oil-Gear replacement pump. So staff recommends award.
Okay.
The which source? I'm looking at the chart. Sorry, I just didn't see that on the list. Yeah.
So this was already figured into the budget, or was this?
Yes.
Yes.
This is part of our capital for
Capital.
2022.
Okay.
So it's this one right here.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at it too.
It says IFP Motion Solutions. Is that the one? Is that the
Yep.
same?
Yes.
Or 107? Okay, all right. It was just a different name.
So that one actually, we bid out the procurement of a sole source pump. These are the vendors who quoted on that, but it is, we didn't tell them, give me a pump that delivers 10 gallons a minute. We actually picked a pump and then went to vendors saying, I need this pump.
Okay, I understand. I thought you were referring to the vendor, but you're referring to the name of the part.
Correct.
Okay.
So obviously you did some research on this part over a period
Yeah,
of
well,
time.
this is the exact replacement for
Exact.
the original
Okay.
that has reached the end of its life cycle.
Because I know we've, okay.
Motion to approve 3.
Motion by Weary, do we have a
Award of the
second?
contracts, yeah.
Second.
Second by Heck, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Like
Opposed?
fixing bridges, it's an uplifting experience.
Well, it apparently both bridges need the same thing, right, during this period of time?
Yeah. All right, second part of this. The contract with GS Global Resources, Inc., the lowest bidding distributor for the procurement of 2 Polk Lane hydraulic motors in the amount of $24,000 and $1.92.
Okay, so similar to the last item, the pump supplies hydraulic fluid that turns a hydraulic motor. So the motor is the next part of the operation, essentially the drivetrain or powertrain for the bridge. We're looking to replace 2 hydraulic motors. So the first item you'll see in the packet related to this is the sole source, identifying exactly which motor we wanted. 2 vendors responded, GS Global Resources and Power Systems. GS Global Resources is the low responding vendor. So staff is making a recommendation to award to that low vendor in the amount of $24,001.92.
Committee? Anybody?
I motion to approve it.
Motion by-
If Steve thinks it's the right vendor, trust it. It's all on Steve.
Smile.
No, I'm kidding.
If you put it that way, I'm voting against it. Somebody's gotta be a negative.
Somebody's got it.
You're the
Yeah.
expert.
It's on your name in the minutes.
Motion by X, seconded by Wery.
That's true.
Any other
Wait,
discussion?
I'll
All
have
in
to go over the
favor?
minutes next time, like, I didn't vote for it.
All in favor? Please say
Aye.
aye. Hate to interrupt you.
Sorry.
Yeah, you know.
Gotta get meetings right.
It passed.
Shtick.
Did I say that word? Shtick.
Yes, you
We'll be here at 7 too.
Second show. All right, number 3, a sole source contract with Oil Gear for the rehabilitation of an existing Oil Gear PVK series pump not to exceed $56,053.
Okay, the first item that we took up was the purchase of a new oil gear pump. We also have an existing oil gear pump that we're going to have refurbished. That will give us a pump on the shelf in case we have a problem, replace this pump, and then next year we're going to replace another pump. So it's a sequential thing. We'll always have a pump on the shelf that we can place into service while the next pump is being acquired or refurbished. As it's an oil gear pump, you don't want to go to somebody else to have them refurbish it. You want to go back to the manufacturer, so again, a sole source to go back to oil gear.
That seems to make sense, especially when we've had some bridge problems when we didn't
Well,
get
what
it.
we, and I think I've mentioned this to you before, what we started off with was kind of a all-encompassing, let's just gut the bridge and do it all at once. And that's in excess of $2 million. We can't afford to do that. So what staff has done is taken a different approach where we're going to do a piece at a time, essentially, and they're going to do it in phases with the money that we can actually afford to bond for in an annual.
Do you feel that over time doing this, that it'll be more than adequate?
Yeah, we've got this figured out. It's going to only take about 2 to 3 years.
2 to 3 years.
2 to 3 years
Okay.
to get through the bridge.
Johnny keep shooting out their car one piece at a time. It
Yes.
cost him a dime.
Well,
Yes.
the other issue you gotta keep in mind is we can't be doing these replacements during shipping season. So we've got about 2 months out of the year that we can be doing the work.
Okay.
What one of the issues is.
Cool.
So when we get done, we'll have a
Motion.
bridge that'll have 2 headlights on one side, 1 on the other, and when you pull the switch, all 3 of them came on. Yes, I'm very familiar with that song.
Yep, yep.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Eck, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Campbell. Any other discussion, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? Thank you for that lesson, it was very interesting. And your shtick too. Number 4, consideration with possible action on request by the Department of Public Works to enter into a 3-party agreement with R.A. Smith and WisDOT for the design of Mather Street reconstruction from Gray Street west to Locust Street.
A few months ago, we came and advised the committee that we were successful in securing some federal funding for the reconstruction of Mather Street. Those projects typically are an 80-20 match, so it's a very good deal for the city. Once in order to actually proceed with the project, you have to enter an agreement with the Department of Transportation. So what we're asking for is approval to enter into the contract for design and construction services associated with that reconstruction.
All right,
Motion to
just
approve.
On a side note, I just wanted to mention something. I was allowed to sit in on these discussions with the contractors. It was very helpful. I appreciate
Well, we
you
appreciate
reaching
you
out.
coming in. That's one of the
It
things
took a
we're going to
little
try
bit
to
of
do. As we secure these grants for these projects, and it gets down to consultant selection, we want to bring the alder for that district and have them part of the selection team so that they have a familiarity
No,
with the
that
contractor
was,
or with
that
the
was a-
consultants we're hiring.
Very good move. I appreciate it very much. So,
Come to the committee.
do we have a
We have a
motion here,
to approve.
please?
I
Motion by
made a
Eck.
motion to approve.
You made the motion, all right.
Second,
By Eck,
Mr.
seconded by Campbell. Any
Chair
other-
Stoyer, thank you for bringing us up to date with that.
Yeah, I think we all could be involved in the future. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, that passes unanimously. Okay, number 5, consideration with possible action on request by Sewers Division of Public Works to purchase yearly structured cast iron castings from Neenah Foundry in the amount of $46,331. This is an annual year-end purchase that the department would request annually for a 5-year period.
So at the end of the year, our utilities division goes through and takes a look at the castings that need to be replaced that have either been damaged due to normal wear and tear or what have you. And This year, we've got about $46,331 worth of castings that need to be replaced. This money is part of the materials and supplies budgets for both the sanitary utility and the storm utility, so this is coming out of our 22 budget. As Neenah Foundry is the only foundry in the local area who's capable of supplying these types of castings, going to an East Jordan Iron Works in East Jordan, Illinois, they may have a cheaper price on the casting, but the shipping on, I mean, these things are, a manhole casting and frame is 94 pounds, okay? So the shipping costs eat you up. Neenah historically has been the lowest price vendor. It's very hard for another foundry to compete with them just due to proximity. So we're asking for both approval of this year's castings. Again, it's about $25,000, so we need council approval for that. And then we're asking to be able to go to Neenah Casting, or Neenah Foundry, for a 5-year period. By going into a 5-year contract with them, we're able to secure better pricing.
Is there a,
Was there a De Pere foundry?
the Pure?
Was there
the Pure-
one?
Yes, but they don't supply this volume of
This type.
castings or this type of casting.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're more of a specialty foundry.
Oh, so it's still around? You just-
I believe the Pure Foundry may still be in business, I'm not sure.
They might do Coleman
I
Park.
think they're doing castings.
Right,
They do not have.
okay.
Anything else for Coburn Park?
I was gonna ask a question, real quick.
I was
just-
gonna make a motion to.
No, I just wanted to ask on these 13, are there locations where, I mean, does that really matter in a sense? I mean, these are 13 different locations?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily?
No, you gotta remember too, this is a split between the sanitary and storm utilities.
Correct.
So there's some inlets, there's some manhole covers. For example, the main difference between sanitary and storm is storm manholes have pickles. Sanitaries don't. So this
Pickles?
order is a combination of sanitary and storm castings.
Did you say pickles?
Pickles?
Pick holes.
Pickles.
Oh, holes, we all heard pickles.
All right.
Give me a grilled cheese and I'll be in.
Holes, okay, good to
Okay.
know.
No, I was just asking in a sense, like, you know, do we have issues in certain parts of the city where we've had more problems with this?
No,
or it just-
typically this is inventory replenishment.
Okay. All right.
So we maintain an inventory at the east side garage, and as we exhaust that inventory during the course of the year, at the end of the year, we do a replenishment.
Okay, all right.
Move to approve?
Second.
So all, by Weary, seconded by Campbell. Cross suited you on that one. All in favor, please say aye.
I,
Aye. All opposed?
I can't see them.
We're all,
I had started.
we're all in a
to-
good mood. Thank you. Number 6, consideration with possible action on a request by Brown County for conveyance of rights in land and temporary construction easement across the existing City of Green Bay easement, misspelled by the way, for sewer and water purposes adjacent to the west rights-of-way line of Packerland Drive for the County Trunk EB 41 Packerland Drive from West Point Road to Hudson Road project.
Both did it now.
Okay, the item that I handed out prior to the meeting today shows a transportation plat. So what you're looking at is Packerland Drive in the vicinity of Trojan Drive. That is where Brown County is proposing to put the roundabout in as part of the West Mason Packerland project.
Right.
I didn't know they were gonna do a roundabout.
Yep.
Okay.
So as part of that,
Yeah, I didn't
in
know.
order to get the deflection angle on entry to the roundabout and then come out of the roundabout and continue in a southbound manner, Brown County needs to acquire property on the west side. What you're seeing in color here is the city already owns an easement there. So the easement's exclusive, that's our property, we have all rights to it. Brown County wants us to allow them to also have access to our easement. So all we're doing here is providing a conveyance of our rights to Brown County to coexist in that same easement area.
All right, well, no, I know that that area's been such a problem for a long period of time. I'm thinking that that roundabout really is gonna help in that area, just from what I've heard. So, committee, do you have any questions?
Oh, that seems way far back.
I'm just figuring, I'm trying to figure out, I thought it was the roundabout was gonna be at Packerland where it crossed West Mason, but I don't see West Mason on
No,
here.
no,
Mason's
the
north.
roundabout
Okay.
is not at Packerland Mason.
Ah,
At Packerland Mason, the frontage roads, we're gonna seal the frontage roads off. We're extending the curb, or the center median through the frontage road, so you can't turn on there anymore. And then in order to come from Mason south and get over to the east side of Packerland, you'll have to come down to Trojan and go around the roundabout there in Button Park.
Oh, wow.
Because, I mean,
That's
right now, when
totally
you're at
different than
that,
I
like,
thought.
if you go to Hardee's or whatever, and you try to cross the road, forget it.
Oh, it's horrible. It's horrible. It always has
adventure.
been.
Forget
But
it.
Trojan, I didn't,
Okay.
okay.
No,
that-
I'm
that's why I was
thinking that's
kinda,
gonna really work well.
well.
This
I-
was an approach that Brown County came up with. It's something nobody else had thought of beforehand, and when Paul Fontecchio, the public works director of the county, when Paul first approached me, he said, hey, we were talking about it, and what we came up with was a roundabout at Trojan. My first response was, you're crazy. Oh my God, that's so crazy it'll actually work.
Yeah.
And then we entered into a contract with Brown County to split the cost on it. So
Nice.
this is just some of the real estate. Once we get into these projects, anytime that we've got real estate acquisition or easement that we need to acquire, or in this case, we're releasing some rights on those easements to allow Brown County to come in there. It's not uncommon, especially, we just talked about that three-party contract for Mather Street. As we get into that project, when we get to corners, if we're picking up vision corners or small pieces of right-of-way that we need to acquire, you'll be seeing a lot of these kind of things with every one of those projects. For instance, when we did Webster Avenue, we had 24 or 28,
24 properties.
24 properties that we bought entirely.
Right.
Then in total, we had close to
Oh, my border.
80 small slivers that we had to pick up here and there.
They're still on the roll.
So this kind of thing is pretty common on those DOT-funded projects.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Well, great. We have a
Motion to approve.
motion by Eck. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Campbell. All in favor, please say aye.
Yeah.
All opposed? That passes unanimously. All right, number 7, consideration with possible action on a request by Department of Public Works to place orders for replacement vehicles for the parking division, pickup and SUV, approved as part of the 2023 operating budget. Director?
So back in September, we brought you the list of equipment that we're intending to, our equipment replacement for operations division, sanitary utility, the storm utility, and parking division. Included in that list of equipment was a replacement for a enforcement vehicle. It's currently a Jeep Wrangler, and replacement of one midsize pickup, currently a Chevy Colorado. Typically, we would go out to the state procurement contract because the bidding is already taken care of for us there. We have exhausted all of the alternatives available to us. We looked at the state contract and we looked at leasing the vehicles through the city's enterprise lease. In order to get our name on a bill for those replacement vehicles, we would not be able to take delivery of them within calendar 2023. We're looking at in excess of 12 months out on lead. So instead, Nathan Walkendonk, the fleet manager, has been scouring them all over the place. And we have found that Broadway has a pickup truck with their name on an order that we can acquire. And he found a Jeep, or a replacement for the Jeep, a Toyota SUV that's being built for a Toyota dealership in Lincolnwood, Illinois. They fit within the budgetary pricing we have. We can get our name on the bill, secure those vehicles in our name. As they're built and delivered to those dealerships, we take delivery of it and we will pay for them then. So they will be expensed in 2023 using the 2023 budgetary funds from the parking utility. It's just a little bit different than how we normally acquire vehicles, and given the lead times on equipment and vehicles, as you've heard from various committees over the past several months, acquisition of those types of assets is becoming more and more challenging, so we're forced to go out and acquire things in a much different manner than what we have in the past. So my compliments to Nathan for thinking outside the box and finding us some vehicles we could actually get in the year that we need them.
All right.
Well, I know that the police department was sharing the same issue.
Yes.
Like they had the money and they couldn't even get the vehicles, they just weren't there, so this is, I think we need to jump on it. That's my opinion.
Okay.
Make it so, number one.
What's that?
Make it so, number one.
Make it so.
Is that correct, anybody? No?
So, motion to approve?
Motion by Ag,
Second.
by Campbell. Any other discussion, all in favor? Please say aye.
Aye.
I suppose I couldn't have Nathan help me find a vehicle. Because I need one badly, but that's another story. All right, informational director's report on
Just-
recent activities.
2 items for you quickly that are somewhat related. We did complete our last round of fall loose leaf collection the week before Thanksgiving. I know there are a couple of sorted piles, and we're doing our best as weather allows to go out and grab those, but we did advise the public not to bring anything else out to the curb.
I have a.
The season was pretty short this year, but things, we did start a week later than historically we have, but that first week, typically, we weren't getting a lot of leads. So when we did our first rotation, it took us almost 2 weeks to get through, but that's because there was a lot of stuff on the ground. A lot of it fell quickly and within a compact time period. It took us a little longer to make each round, but we were more efficient in doing so. So I think we may have saved a little bit of cost on that. But fall loose leaf collection period is complete. Again, if there are scattered piles here and there, we'll do our best to go get those. We don't want them on the curb or in the street when snow comes around. And somewhat related to that, because we were able to get through loose leaf collection, we are in the process of fleet conversion right now. So mechanics are feverishly working on all of our equipment to get it converted from summer use to winter use, so that we're in position to be ready when the snow does come.
So how does the winter look? I know you look at 8 websites.
Not good.
Not good?
Not good.
Lot of snow, you're
We are
saying?
looking, not necessarily cold, but we are expecting more than a wetter than average year. So we are expecting heavy snows this year.
What is that, from the Farmer's Almanac or something?
No, well, part of that comes from Farmer's Almanac. Part of that is the National Weather Service Long Range Prediction Center. Trying to think, there's 2 other sources that I,
Educate Paul.
What's that?
Magic 8 Ball.
Yes, I'm not, I think it's right most of the time. Mark my word.
The
but
Farmer's Almanac is like.
as we get deeper into the season, when we actually know that there's a system coming in, then one of the other ones that I do like to consult is a young man from Nova Scotia by the name of Frankie
Oh,
McDonald.
Frankie, yes.
Frankie?
Yes. Oh,
You know him?
Yes, I do.
Frankie is
Yes.
awesome.
Okay.
So how
Well,
long can you
Just
darn.
predict?
Just Google Frankie
Yes.
McDonald sometime.
To tell you the truth, I'd rather have snow than cold, so,
Yeah.
but that
How
costs.
long
the
can
same.
you predict? You know, I always wonder about that with weather. I mean, like 2 weeks out, 3
Prediction?
weeks. I mean, for some reason, it's like, how do you know that?
Speaking with meteorologists,
And Frankie.
okay?
And Frankie.
Years ago, we used to have a meteorologist on retainer for us that did specialized weather forecasting specific to Green Bay. If you're going to National Weather Service, you go to the local meteorologists at our TV stations. They're predicting a 22 county area, so a storm has to start and stop somewhere. It's kind of hard to pinpoint. When we had Murray and Truttel on retainer, they gave specific weather forecasts for Green Bay. Murray Truttel has been a meteorological forecasting company that's in existence since 1945, so they were not a new company by any stretch.
There's obviously ways they're doing it, but
Those
that's beyond me.
folks were the ones that I attended a seminar at APWA, the American Public Works Association. They actually put the seminar on, and what they told me, and what I continue to use as my guide, 72 hours out, 3 days, they have reasonable probability that a storm is going to occur. The intensity and when it's going to start is still up in the air. 36 hours out, a day and a half, they know, yes, a storm is coming, and they have a reasonable idea of the probable amount of precipitation. They're still guessing at the start time of the storm. 12 hours out is when you start getting actual accurate weather forecasts.
Okay, all right, that helps.
So we start planning 72 hours out. We're looking 3 days in advance. At that point, you have a reasonable probability that you're actually going to get the storm.
Very interesting. Okay.
Oh, okay, so I know we were talking about earlier, the signs that have green and bay as 2
Oh.
different sizes, are they gonna be taken care of?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, those are being addressed.
All
Okay.
right, thank you.
I had an anonymous report that one street got 12 passes on it for leaves. It was Nancy Street?
It's Nancy Avenue, by the way.
Oh!
Mine got,
Is
mine
that where
got
you live?
two.
You
Is
can't-
that where he lives?
Nice try.
Mine got two. I had 150 feet of leaves plus the neighbor 75. And that took over a month to pick up.
Well, they were late in starting, which
And
then,
then I
Well, we
did
weren't
the-
late in starting, we started a week
Or-
later than we normally.
well, I mean,
This is probably the
right.
first year, all the
And-
time I
and
haven't had
I'm
any
less than a
complaints
mile
about
from
leaf
the
pickup,
dump.
so.
We've had
It's
no
outrageous.
complaints.
But on the
Oh,
25th,
let's get one.
because I went, before I put them out to the curb on last week, I was like, looking at it like, oh no, we got till the 25th. I went to my own report and I'm like 25th. And then I went back and I put it there and I was like, look at that again. I'm like, oh no, it was. But they came by on the 25th and picked them up. So, or the 26th, whatever it was. I was like, oh
That's where you
shit.
say you're welcome. So, anyway, all right, anything else?
I didn't have nowhere to put them anymore.
Was that it? All right.
Motion to receive and place on file?
Yep, okay. Well, by Eck, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Campbell. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The next Improvement and Services Committee meeting is scheduled for December 14th, 2022. That all happens to be the day that George Washington passed away in 1799.
A little additional information.
All right,
Easement.
public
Can you do that
hearings, there is
after every
nothing.
meeting?
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
By Eck, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Weary. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed?
Nay.
Okay.
Thank you all.